I use ChatGPT a lot, and that is for just about everything and anything. Anytime I write a letter, or I've got letters that I write, or property descriptions, or resumes, or whatever it may be, we utilize ChatGPT just to sort of, again, enhance. So I write what it is that I want, and then it just enhances a little bit. My favorite so far has been the image generator, which has been kind of cool, and it's probably one of the most basic ones. You take a vacant property, you stick it in there and you ask it to do a virtual staging of that property, of that kitchen or the family room or whatever you want, a great room, either any of the bedrooms, you can have it do a virtual staging of that.
Wow.
And then it puts that out, which has been really cool.
Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Shelly Panzarella Show. I have brought the hammer today to talk about all things real estate. We're going to talk about the Las Vegas industry. We're going to talk about the industry as a whole. She is also known in the community as one of our best CE instructors here. And I want her to share some of her AI tools because I know that's disrupting a lot of realtors today. So please join me in welcoming my friend and partner, Miss Vandana Bhalla, aka The Hammer.
Hi.
Welcome. What's
Thanks.
up?
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah. So I know all about you. Our journey started like REO World 08, right? So let's share with everyone who you are. Just to give them a quick intro on you.
Oh, so my 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I'll
give you a minute.
Yeah. I actually, I started real estate in 2003. It was something that I never intended to be a career path for me. I was actually in law school at the time, and there was a piece of parcel that we were looking at that we wanted to purchase, and that sort of became the reason that I got into the real estate industry. And then since then, it's just been I have not been able to stop, and it's been awesome. So I've sort of gone through from 2003. I don't know if anybody remembers back then, you could throw a dart at the map of Las Vegas and no matter where it landed, it was going to double or triple in value. And so having known so many people in California, and that's where most of our clients were coming from during that time, and there was nothing past Ann Road there. So I ended up...
Or Rainbow, really, if you're like coming up this way,
Yep, exactly. So Rainbow, Ann Road, and so there was a piece of parcel past Ann Road that we were looking at. Anyway, so I started talking to a lot of my friends and family that were back in California, and lo and behold, I just haven't been able to stop. So rode that entire wave of crazy market to the complete downturn. And a friend of mine in the title business, I sat down with her after about 2010, I want to say, and I was like, hey, so what is this REO nonsense, right? And before that, it was the high-rise boom, and I was one of the high-rise queens, basically sold 20-plus units at City Center, 20-plus units over at Turnberry Towers, and then and that was while I was pregnant, so sort of keeping
with your
it low.
first son? Or?
No, so my first one and my second one.
Oh, okay.
So funny enough, my first son, his name is Arjun, and we joked about naming him Turnberry. My second son, his name is Veer, and that is
goodness.
I know, but it wasn't because of the towers. But
they named him after,
but he claims it. Yeah. So rode the high-rise boom, and then, REO started back like around they technically started 2007, 2008, and short sales and whatnot. And about 2010, I came out of I'm a brand new mommy. Okay, now let's go. So I sat down with a friend of mine, a title rep, and I said, what's this REO thing? Like, how do I get an account? And she laughed at me, and I was like, oh, girl, what? Yeah, I'm going after an REO account. And she's like, well, which one? And I was like, I don't know, anyone. It doesn't matter. And so she gave me this whole scenario of, well, you have to go to all of these events and all of these meetings and all these conferences. I'm like, when's the next one? She's like, this weekend. I'm like, let's go. And so sure enough, I packed up my bags and we went, we were off that weekend, and then got into REO within 10 months.
Wow.
Got my first HUD account. I was the listing broker for
LLB, I remember that.
LLB, here in Vegas. So did that for several years, and then it's been crazy because then I got into property management, and then now I'm also a business broker, and then I started coaching and I started teaching, and it's crazy because as I develop in this world of real estate, there's just so many aspects of it that people don't realize. It's not just residential. I started commercial, went into residential, so that was more than like a minute.
You're
I know,
good.
I'm sorry, but
You're good.
I started in the commercial, went into residential, and then have started doing property management, high rises, REOs, a little bit of everything, to be honest with you.
Well, and I think that's attributed to who you are. I mean, you just take things and you go. That's always been your MO. And even and I know, I think I stepped into your world around the HUD world, right? Or REO, because
Yep.
I didn't know anything about the city center stuff and
Yep.
and the Veer, the
That was
high
from
rise
when
stuff.
we were on ARIA together.
Yeah.
We were on the board together for the Asian Real Estate Association of
Yeah,
America.
that
and
was
I think
08, right?
That was, yeah, it was
Yeah.
probably around, no,
That's
it
when
was
it
even
launched.
after that. It was after that.
Okay.
Because I was legitimately in the REO world. So
Yeah.
it must have been in like 2011-ish, I want to say.
Well, you were in PAS too, right, for Wells Fargo, or you were PAS agent,
no,
or you were working towards the.
no, I only wanted the HUD account.
Okay. Well,
I
that's another
only-
thing about you.
Yeah, I only wanted the HUD account. That's the only thing I went for, and that's the only thing I got. Everything else just seemed like a lot more work than I was willing to put in.
When you did that, because I know in the middle of that, you talked about having your kids, but you also got divorced and all of that, and you still rose to where you are today, which you are a corporate broker
I am.
for Signature
I
Real Estate
am.
Group. You mentioned you're also business broker for also at Signature Real Estate Group. And recently you've announced you're helping to, or you are launching the luxury division.
We are. We're actually in the midst of it now. So we're going to be calling it the Signature Collection. It has been this baby that we've developed over this year, and it's just like this close to launching. So it's just a matter of time.
Well, and what?
And maybe this is it. Congratulations. Here we go.
Here you are. This is the launch.
Yeah.
What is taking you down that step to start the luxury division?
I found a need. And I mean, real talk, I've had a lot of brokers, luxury brokers in town that have asked, like, hey, we really need someone to help build our divisions with luxury and whatnot. And I'm like, that's, like, I never really went down that path. Now, mind you, I've done a lot of luxury properties. I'm licensed here, I'm licensed in California, and I'm licensed in Oklahoma. And I've done a lot of luxury in all of those states.
Oklahoma has luxury?
Believe it or not, they do.
Wow. Okay.
And so I've been, it depends on where you go, but yeah, there is.
Sorry, Oklahomans.
Yeah. So I started looking into what it takes to actually be a luxury agent. And like I said, I've done it because, again, we do a lot of our, on my team, we do quite a bit of the same concepts. They might not be as elevated as some of the others that you've seen in town, but we are getting there. And so I have this like passion for it because I feel like there's a need, and we just haven't developed that at Signature. So like at the company that I'm at, when you think about us, you don't necessarily think about luxury, like we have a luxury department. And I wanted to change that narrative. And so that's how that started. I mean, really, that's how everything started with Signature, right? We never had a property management division, and then we started that. We never had an education department, and then we started that. We never had business brokerage. And then, usually all of this stuff comes about because the owner of the company will come to me and say, hey, so I really want to do this. I need you to go get your permit for it. And I'm like, dude, what?
I was just going to say, because everything leans on you a lot in each of those, like the education side of it, right? Mm-hmm. Now you've got the luxury division that you're bringing up, the property management side of it. So
yeah.
You definitely have your hand in it, but you also, I think, help in creating that.
Yeah. And I think now more than ever especially with real estate agents and real estate companies across the country, I think they're looking for something, agents are looking for something that's all inclusive. They're looking for something where it's like a one-stop shop. I don't have to go here for this. I don't have to go here for this. Like imagine if we kept sending all of our agents to another brokerage for CE. Well, we don't need to do that because we've developed that CE courses, the pre-licensing, post-licensing. We've developed the CE's classes throughout. So all of that is already in-house. And so I think that's the aim, is to just bring everything in-house as much as possible. And we started that mentorship program for very similar reasons. Our agents were looking for guidance, and they were going outside of the company. We have so many years of experience within Signature alone.
You do.
I mean, if you look at the brokers that we had, it's funny because like yesterday I started a small chat with the brokers, and I'm like, hey, so I don't mean to start an argument, but because there's 9 of us, and I'm like, I don't mean to start an argument, but I just want to get your perspective on this one thing. And then that started an argument, and then and then we shut it down. And then I was like, hey, so I want to go back to the argument that we had 2 years ago about, and it's it's crazy because we can have differing opinions within the brokerage between each broker, and every broker thinks a little bit differently, and they're okay with having different perspectives, and I think that's the key. And every agent feels good going to this broker versus this one. I'm not for everyone. I totally know that, and that's okay too.
That's definitely the benefit, I think, in having the diversity of the brokers, but you guys are also aligned in the mission and vision of the company.
Yep.
Well, so talking through this luxury division, so why a division? Why are you plucking, like, is there going to be like truly the line in the sand that says this is Signature Luxury Division and this is regular Signature Collection, and then regular Signature Real Estate Group?
So the idea is to maintain a consistency within the luxury side. And so it's really hard that if I'm selling a $10 million house to also be selling a $250,000 house, it's almost impossible to have the same agent do that. Ideally, what we would like, and I don't know if it's going to start this way, but ideally what we would like is to have whoever's in the luxury division is only in the luxury division. And that would be that's their entire MO, is that they're focused on the luxury brand, and that's it.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
When I think we've gone through coaching together as well, and knowing that if you niche down, that's really where you're going to see greater success. And I agree, because I do have some luxury agents that, well, even for yourself, right? You still take care of your referrals who are not in that luxury price point, and you have to, but you see the difference in the two in having to take care of those clients.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be where we're going to have a team that handles some of the other stuff too.
Okay.
Right.
Inside of the luxury division.
Within the luxury division, yeah. So there will be, so that we have transactions happening.
So what's your vision for the division? Is this going to be like a 10 group of agents, or is it going to be like as big as it can get, or?
Definitely not as big as it can get, right? We probably want to limit it anywhere. And I've, again, looked at a lot of the luxury brands in the city, kind of where they're at and what they're doing. And I think that's one of the best ways to really get started on anything that you want to do. Like, what's everyone else doing out there that makes sense and that's working? Like, why am I going to sit here and reinvent the wheel? And most of them are within that 20 or less agents.
Okay.
Number of people in the group. So
you guys opening up a new office and everything? That'll
I don't know yet.
scream
You're asking
luxury.
a lot of questions.
I
But
know.
I don't know
we're
yet.
launching right now,
I
so
know. We're just going to negate this entire conversation.
We're gonna cut this out. Yeah.
Just cut this out.
All right, so let's shift to real estate. The actual right now, we're in NAR now, right? Because officially August 17th was go
August.
time.
Yeah, and it's crazy because we're like waiting for all the news reports and what's happening, and I think it's more. I think more clients are concerned about it than the agents who have been in the business for a long time. Like we've seen this real estate market go up and down over the course of the last, I mean, for me anyway, for 20 years. And anybody's been in the business that long. And I teach a lot of classes, and I teach a lot of agents who are just getting their license. So I'm on faculty for the association, and so anybody who is getting doing their orientation, their orientation to become a realtor, I teach those classes. And like yesterday, I just taught for ABR designation, and so ABR is the accredited buyers representation designation, and that one is there's a lot of questions about, well, as a buyer, can I do this now, and can I do that, and can I do and we're seeing people trying to manipulate and really like, well, let's see if we can find a loophole here. Let's see if we can find a loophole here. And really, like, let's just play nice right now because it's so early, I think, that everybody's getting nervous about, well, how can I not make this, how do I make this work? You will. I promise you. It'll all pan out. Right now, there's just a lot of excitement and craziness around the settlement and, go time as of August 17th. But really, once the dust settles, we're going to be fine.
Well, and I think with everything that you've been through, right, in the last 20 years, there's always a disruption. Mm-hmm. Then people kind of calm down, and then people settle into like, oh, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then they move forward.
Well, and here's the way I look at it. So when I have clients that, get upset about like, hey, now I have to pay, like a buyer who says I have to pay for my, for the compensation to the agent, I'm like, Well, yeah, but you've always paid for the compensation for the agent. So there's really two mindsets here where people are like, well, we've always had it included with the seller. Well, no, actually, when a buyer purchases a home, let's say that home is listed for, and I'm just for easy numbers, is listed for $500,000, right? That home's listed for $500,000. There's no additional fee for compensation. It's wrapped in. And that $500,000 is what the buyer pays. That pays the closing costs, that pays the, and generally it pays the seller's closing costs if you think about it, right? It pays, and then they have to come up on top of that for their closing. The buyer has to come up for their closing. Nothing's changed except the way that we present it.
Right, right.
The buyer's always paid for it. It's always been included in the loan. Now it's just a matter of we've got to manipulate it in such a way where the loan gets approved for it. And that's if they have a loan.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And honestly, there's no shift in that today because the seller contribution the whatever we're calling buyer's agent fee is not included in any seller contribution. And, everybody's asking, well, will you include it in the loan? I don't know that we need to really, because if we're seeing it's the same, so to speak, right, then really doesn't shift anything for us. It actually expanded it because now VA allows the buyer technically to pay the commission or the buyer's agent fee if needed. But it can still go through the sales price like you're mentioning, and the seller can actually
And
pay
that was such a win
Yeah.
for the industry, for
Agreed.
buyers, for people who are looking to invest in real estate, buy real estate, anything. That was a
Yeah.
huge win for us.
Well, and I feel like the biggest conversation around this with buyer's agent is talking through the value aspect of it. Because I feel like to some extent, those who have been in the business a long time,
Yeah.
most of them had already perfected the conversation around paying for their agent fee, right? Those that are coming in new, it's foreign. They're just showing up and like, okay, here's what it looks like, and this. Don't worry, the seller can pay this for us today, right? That's changing today. I mean, even with the RPA, I've had a few calls from agents like, okay, so if I do this on the RPA, the seller's going to pay this, right? And the seller's going to pay this. I'm like, well, we follow the RPA. So yeah, but I think there's some confusion around how to present it. Like some are like, well, what if I just ask for all closing costs and include that with my fee? I'm like, you could do it however you want. What do you suggest, or what are you teaching your agents?
Put it in the RPA.
Put it in the RPA.
Yeah, put it in the RPA because that's what you're asking for. And then at that point, the seller can make a decision. They can counter that back. They can address it. If you have a fee that you've decided you want from a buyer from a particular transaction, that's what you have to put in the RPA.
Yeah.
And then ask for it. It's a negotiable term like anything else that's in that agreement. So, and, just going back to that point of, we've done it for a really long time. Real talk, like Article 9 if you are a member of the realtor organization, you have a code of ethics that you have to abide by. And that code of ethics on Article 9 says that that any relationship that you have, any agreement in that way where you're working with a client, it has to be memorialized in an actual agreement. Mm-hmm. It's always said that. That hasn't changed. So like when I taught the class yesterday, I'm like, okay, everybody go to Article 9, right? And so they go and they read, I'm like, read Article 9. And so they read it. And I'm like, so when did that change? And they're like, it's always been there. And I go, so hold on. What you're saying is that we always had to have a buyer broker agreement. Now we're just saying you must. Before, people thought it was a business practice thing. It really was a code of ethics. Like you were supposed to do it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Some brokers just didn't insist on it. And it wasn't something that we brought in front of the association as an ethics violation.
Yeah.
Because really, who's the aggrieved party? Like most of the time it would be the agent anyway, because they
True.
didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
the agents on my team have been doing it. Like I told them ahead of time, like when they first got hired, I'm like, you don't have a buyer broker agreement in your file, you don't get paid. Period. The end. Like that's been my MO for 15 years.
Well, and that's it. I think it's just really getting it into practice, so to speak, right? And so are you seeing more, because I know you're also a coach for realtors, are you seeing more scripting around it, role playing around it? Like are you experiencing anything at all around that?
I haven't had any issues for me personally, but as I'm teaching CE classes, people are nervous about it because they haven't been doing it, and they don't have the right, they don't have the right support to help them answer those questions. And I think that's the struggle, is that there are some brokers that don't know how to handle this, and there are some agents who don't know how to handle this. And so I always say, go get the right coach, go get the right person to help mentor you through any changes that might happen in the industry. Like I said, I teach a lot of classes, and I've had people come up to me and they're like, okay, I really like your style, and it seems like you're pretty honest, and it seems like you've got your, can I say shit together, right? And I'd really like to get some coaching, based off of like how to be a better agent. And that's one of the things I've always prided myself on, is just being an ethical agent, is to follow the code of ethics, to follow the law, NRS, NAC, and really, that's why they call me the hammer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. The throwdown is that, exactly.
Yeah, it's why they call me the hammer. Like when I sit down and I interview an agent to come join my team, I'm like, there's 3, and I tell them up front, there are 3 ways that you can get disqualified from being a part of my team. And I'm very clear about it. Like, if you break the rules, NRS, NAC, code of ethics, you're out. I don't even want to hear it. You're done. We're done. We're not moving forward. The second way that you can get disqualified is if you lie to me. I will always have your back. Like, no matter what happens, when you come to me with an issue, I will have your back, and we will fight for whatever it is that you want, that you're looking for, or your clients are looking for, or what you think happened, whatever. I will fight for you. But you lie to me, you're gone. Like, I won't.
Again, the end.
The end, right? And then the third thing is, if you walk into our office looking like it's a day club, because we're a professional organization. We are a professional office. You can't walk in here in your bathing suit. You can't walk in, you know what I mean? Like, I get that it's hot in the summer. It's 100 and something degrees, but I've always dressed professionally. I expect no less.
Well, two things on that. I definitely want to talk about the professionalism aspect of it, because I do feel like, going through COVID, that was kind of the shift, right? A lot of people and even myself included, like, okay, I don't have to necessarily dress up in suits every single day. I can kind of change it up a little bit. But I do think it's a different message. And now, especially with NAR, it's even more important that you show up as a professional, right?
Because you got to show your value. You got to show that you're going to be earning this money, and that you are acting as a professional.
Yeah. And I know, you and I had Valerie on the show also, and this was something we spoke about as well. It's a standard of professionalism. And, she, at the title office, she's like, I tell them we're not showing up in jeans and flip-flops. Like, there's just a level of not even professionalism to our clients, but even within our organization. If you show up with jeans and flip-flops, which I'll be honest, in our office, we allowed for quite some time after COVID, because it was kind of like, you got to get the COVID-20 off maybe, or whatever. People are showing up a little different. But now we're in an office together. Everybody shows up like you're going to work. You're not necessarily, for us, not necessarily clocking in. But there's also a different level of confidence that I feel when I show up dressed, right? Yeah. So I'm glad you do that. I know that's not all across the board in the office. That's specific to your team, right?
Yeah. And for me,
I
went to this class. So I didn't know I was going to teach ABR yesterday. I didn't know. There was another instructor. I was there to actually just watch, because in order to be an instructor for ABR, you have to go and watch what's happening right now with, because the industry changes, blah, blah, blah. So I was there literally to watch. And luckily, I was dressed professionally. So when he said, hey, I'm going to have you teach module so-and-so, and I was just like, it was module 5, and I was like, okay. I was ready to go. I was in heels. I mean, I wish I would have worn shorter heels, but I was in heels. I was in a dress. Like, I was ready to go. I don't know what my day is going to look like. I really don't. On the first day of the ABR class, I'm sitting in class, and I expected to be in class from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I get a call during the class from a client of mine that says, I want to go look at a house. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was ready to go. The way that when something hits the market, we almost have to be ready to go show it. And I had a client that I've been working with, and we've been looking for something, and it's looked like a home that he really, really wanted. So, I was ready to go. I didn't be like, I'm sorry, I have to go home and I got to change, and then I got to go, I got to do my hair. No, I was ready to go.
Yeah. Well, what do you say to agents who are like, yeah, but I don't want to, I don't want my client to feel like I'm, dressed out to the nines, and then it sets a different tone for our relationship. What do you think? What do you say to?
Your relationship is that you're the professional. You start acting like one of them, how are they going to look at you as somebody that can guide them through a transaction worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, one of their largest transactions? They have to know that you're the professional.
Yeah.
And that's just one way of doing it. It's not the only way, but that's just one way, right? Obviously, and I said this in class, I said, you are doing your clients a disservice if you don't actually pay attention to what's happening in our industry. If you don't read, if you don't pay it, and when I say read, I mean listen, even podcasts or YouTube channels, or some of the other industry leaders that are across the country. If you're not paying attention to what everybody else is saying, your clients are, and they're going to know more than you do, which is really bad.
Yeah.
We're the ones that have to educate them. And quite honestly, I show up dressed like a bum in pajamas, right? They're going to, and I'm not saying exactly like pajamas, but you know what I mean? Like if I show up in pajamas, how are they going to take me seriously?
Well, I know you like your pajama days, so I mean,
I do.
I can only imagine what that looks like.
I do. I love my pajama days. It was funny. I had a whole day of stuff to do on Sunday, and I was like, nope, pajama day. I just called it, and I told the kids, I'm like, pajama day today.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I still need to figure that out. Maybe I'll get some coaching from you on that.
Yeah.
Well, so speaking to the market and the industry today, so what are you seeing just coming out of that? What are you seeing, let's say, in the Las Vegas market?
In reference to, we have about 3 months worth of inventory right now. So, which is, a significant amount, not a ton, generally slows down a little bit. I've got a lot of people that are freaking out because we've got the election coming up, and they're like, well, with the election, prices are going to go down and interest rates are going to go up, and we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't want to we just don't want to buy anything. And I'm just like, listen, everything, if you look at the last several presidential elections that have happened, we haven't gone through any major shifts like that. We just haven't. The only major shift that we had was during COVID, and that was primarily because of the fact that people really didn't know what was happening. And then so there became a shortage of inventory, but then everybody was like, wait a second, I can work from home? I'm going to buy a nicer home. We're going to, consolidate these two homes and make them one. We're going to, next gen homes became a big thing, which I think is one of the best things that happened out of COVID, is that people started moving in together. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best thing, but you know what I mean? But also it was good in the sense that I think it brought families closer.
I agree.
There were a lot of good things that happened out of COVID, and a lot of, craziness that came out of it. I always tell people, I go, there's 3 things you can't talk about in a public setting. You can't talk about politics, you can't talk about religion, and you can't talk about COVID vaccinations.
That's so true. That is so true.
Those are the 3 absolute no ways.
Yes, that is so true. Yeah, I think the craziness that we also experienced was the low rates, right, coming out of COVID, which, and then to your point, as far as the remote working, you had a lot of people moving in, moving out, because they could go live in Oklahoma and buy their big time luxury homes out there for $200,000 or whatever.
They have $1 million homes there, believe it or not.
They do?
Yes.
What?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check out.
There's a couple of right now, believe it or not, Tulsa, Oklahoma is big. Like there's a lot going on there. So I have a lot of clients that are actually thinking about. So I don't go there. I got licensed because I was doing some projects with a friend of mine, and then I've got now people out there that I work with. So
cool. So you do still have ties to?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the license to expire. But until then, I am licensed there.
That's funny. Well, and I agree as far as the market and everything here. I do think, it's crazy to hear the inventory side of it, because I think everybody feels like, okay, if after the election, like you said, prices are going to drop, and then rates are going to drop, and that's going to be an opportunity for me to jump in. What do you feel about that?
I don't believe. Listen, normally around October, November, December, we see prices go down, but it's only a small amount. And then they go back up generally in January.
And that's with or without an election.
Yeah. Right. And so if you just look at the last 11 presidential elections, which I've done, there's lots of resources out there. I've paid attention to, some of the things that are being said, and there's other people that create the data. So why am I going to reinvent the wheel? Right. And so I've looked at the information that's been provided, and over the last 11 elections, we've only had a decrease in market pricing over the last 8 of the 11 elections.
Right.
That's not a massive significant, where I have to change the way I do things. And so I'm having the that conversation with the clients. And as I taught this ABR class, we finished off the day and I told the other instructor, I was co-teaching at the end, and I said, hey, I want to end the day with the 3 big questions that everybody's asking right now, as far as like, especially in, buyers. One, the biggest one is, interest rates are too high. The reality is, are interest rates higher than they've ever been? No, they've actually gone down. And so we're not, and even when interest rates do go down even further, you're going to see that prices are going to go up. We're going to have less inventory, and then you're going to end up paying more. So you can always change the interest rate. That's the way you can always change the interest rate. So yeah, it might be high right now, but for you, right? I mean, my interest rate for my home is like 2.5%.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to see that ever again. I'm going to hold on to that, right?
Okay.
For that particular house. But like when I go buy another home, the interest rate's going to be 6.5%. But if that ever goes down, guess what I get to do? Refinance.
Yeah. You get to marry the house, date the rate.
Correct.
Right?
I get to refinance that mortgage. And so I could still buy the home that I love. Yeah. If I want my payments to go down, I can address that later. There's also so I had them all have a conversation. I'm like, what are you telling your clients? Well, we can always have concessions made. If you don't need money from the seller to close, you can ask for concessions from the seller to actually get your rate bought down. And that's pretty big in the new home sales. Why can't we do it in residential resales?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's an opportunity as well. Then the other thing was the presidential election, which I think we've addressed, is like, just look at what's happened over history. And we haven't had a major shift in our marketplace because of presidential elections. I mean, if you look at the last 10, 12 elections, it just hasn't changed that significantly. And real talk, we're running out of land.
Yeah.
So when that happens, we go into like increase of equity and increase of prices anyway. So BLM is about to release some land, so we'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime,
Well, so you talk about having to get educated as an agent. So what are some typical resources? Because I do feel like, obviously if you're on your team, I know you share this information to your team members, but if you're not part of the Vandana Bhalla team and you want to be, you could definitely reach out to her. But if you're not, where do they go for resource and information like this? Because I do think that is missing in our industry.
Oh, big time. So the first resource for me is literally I'm a big fan of like of bylaws, policies, law changes, things like that.
The hammer. Yes.
I love the legislative
Yes,
stuff, right?
yeah.
And I actually sit on the legislative management team, and I have for the last 4 legislative sessions. And as I sit on the team, like we literally read bills and say, here's some recommendations that we make, and how to protect homeownership rights and how to protect realtor rights and things like that. So that's one of the things that I love. So I always recommend, make sure you know what's happening with the law.
So where do you find that information?
That information is through, right now, the Nevada Association of Realtors has a publication that gets emailed out called The Advocate. That's the one place you can look for anything that has changed in our real estate industry within the law. So legislative side. That is literally what we do so I sit on Board PAC, I sit on Never PAC, which is our political action committees. And that's where we find out what's happening. We send that out to the membership so they're aware. A lot of agents just delete it. It's important to see what's happening. I mean, there's agents, I remember talking to somebody saying, hey, you can, if you're going to buy a new home, you can get a credit for it, but we're going from septic to sewer. You've got to plug in your septic into the sewer system. And you have to do this over time. There's only so many, they're actually giving you money to do this from the water authority, and you need to get the application put in and blah, blah, blah. And people are just like, wait, when did that happen? I'm like, it's been a year. So, like things like that, they need to pay attention to that. Yeah. So I think the Advocate is probably one of my most favorite ones to pay attention to. You also have the Nevada Real Estate Division puts out a publication called The Open House. Now, these are just like normal resources that you get here locally, right? So,
and is that emailed to them as well?
Correct. Every quarter. So every quarter, the agents get an email from the Nevada Real Estate Division. And it is called The Open House. The new publication just came out, I want to say maybe a week or 2 ago, for the summer version. So they do it 4 times a year. And it talks about any major shifts that have happened in our industry. So like when we had to start putting our license number on all advertising, that was how you did it was taught by the real estate division. They put it in one of their publications because the law said you had to do it. And then it said that the regulation will tell you exactly how. And so the regulation gets created at the commission, and the commission is the real estate division. So you've got that's the publication. The open house, one of my favorite parts of it is towards the end, where you get to see what everybody else is doing, all the things that they've done, the violations that they've had, exactly what you get to read the cases. Again, one of my favorite things to do. You get to read the cases of what they did, and then the punishment. And, we've seen fines of up to $400,000, $600,000. Yeah. It's bananas. And so people will lose their licenses. They'll get suspended.
And
they'll
it's
get revoked.
all open like that?
Yeah, it's public.
Who
it's
and
all,
everything? That's
public
oh my
record.
goodness.
It'll
Okay.
have their name. It'll have their license number. I always tell agents that I coach or that I'm in CE classes with. I'm like, this is one publication you do not want your name published in, like ever.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So there's that one. And then LVR, NVR puts out a couple of things every so often. NVR has a legal hotline that is available to all real estate agents. They get free legal advice from an actual attorney, and that is available to them through their state association, which is Nevada Association of Realtors. And if they get the same questions over and over again, they'll put out sort of a legal notice and saying, hey, here's our opinion on this particular thing.
So what would somebody call in for something like that? That would be different than what you'd call your broker for?
Funny enough, I was actually involved in a transaction, and so sometimes the broker doesn't have the answer, or the broker is telling you one thing, the other broker's like I was the broker on the buy side, and the listing agent had put in the MLS that the washer and dryer were not included. Well, I put in the contract that a washer and dryer were included. There was no washer and dryer in the home. But what happened was it was a flip property, and usually they furnish those. There was a refrigerator in there already, but there was no washer dryer. And so that agent called the hotline to find out, like, hey, do I have to include it? Because it was in the contract. And so the answer was yes, because the MLS is not. So things like that, they would call for things like, for instance, referral fees. So there's a lot of agents for a long time were paying referral fees to attorneys. Well, the Nevada Real Estate Division and the attorneys over at the Nevada Association of Realtors were like, that's actually against the law. You can't pay anybody a fee because of a transaction that closes. You cannot pay someone a referral fee unless they're licensed after a transaction's closed.
So a California agent calls you because they've got a buyer that's buying here in Las Vegas. You cannot?
I can because they're licensed. But if they are not licensed, so attorneys aren't licensed real estate agents.
Okay.
You, for instance, are not. So what happens is, I'll get a call from a client of mine that says, hey, I've got this client. They want to buy this home. Will you share the commission with me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know you got your license. And they were like, well, I don't. I want you to share it. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that because it's against the law. And well, so-and-so does it. This agent does it for me anytime I send them a referral. Well, they're breaking the law. That's not what I do.
The end.
At the end. I don't look good in orange. It's not
funny.
my color. So
That's cool. I didn't know that those resources were out there.
yeah, that's just the basic ones. That's the ones that are available locally. We're not even talking about Inman. We're not even talking about, something that's coming from the National Association of Realtors. Those are just general publications that you get here that get emailed to you.
Well, I love that. And hopefully you're taking away from this, at least go to read your email when the advocate comes out and the open house comes out on a quarterly basis. I'm interested to see both of those because I agree with you. I mean, I love knowing about our industry because I get that it helps me figure out how I have to, maneuver myself or be able to even handle conversations in situations. Because believe it or not, a lot of agents will call me and say, hey, how do I handle this? I'm like, call your broker.
Yeah.
Or now I'm going to say, call that, call the legal line.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
The
They
case
can
might
call
be.
the legal hotline anytime they want.
I
It takes 24 to 48 hours to get a response, but they can call there.
Are you on the other side of that by any chance?
No, I'm not an attorney, nor do I
true.
play
That's
one.
right.
And
You just went to law school.
Yeah.
Didn't go down that path. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the coaching aspect of it because clearly you're a value add. One is just being somebody in the industry, but we talked a little bit about what you're up to as far as coaching. So talk a little bit about that. I know you said coaching and consulting now is where you.
So I'll start on the consulting side because it takes less time. On the consulting side, it actually started with a friend of mine who was buying some properties across the country and just really couldn't handle it on their own, and said, hey, I really need some help with some of these transactions. And so my job essentially was to review the contracts, make sure that they weren't almost like because I was hired by them. So I would review the contracts, I would hire the agents for them, I would make sure that, everything was set on their end. And I didn't ever try to be a real estate agent on that side. It was just, hey, I'm looking at this paperwork, I'm your eyes on this one.
That's cool.
And so there was, do we need an inspection? What is this inspection telling me? It was because it was a lot of paperwork for them to handle, and they were buying several properties at one time. It was just too much. And so I helped organize sort of, okay, well, this is what this property looks like, and this is what you're going to get in rent from it. Here's what you're going to get in equity. So I was just reviewing sort of like some of their documents and stuff like that. So that was easy.
Somebody as an investor today could hire you as a consultant to do that if they're, and different than hiring a real estate
Correct.
or a realtor to do it, right? Because you're really looking at it from almost a fourth lens, really, right? Because you've set third lens.
Yeah.
You've got the realtor, you've got their eyes, and then you've got your consulting.
So imagine there are 7 properties across 7 different states. Each one of them has a different realtor, right? And then this particular client's like, I don't want to deal with all 7 of those realtors. So I am the eyes and ears for that. All 7 come to me, and then I get an answer. So it's just one person that the client has to deal with. And so that was how I did that particular thing. I also I'm a consultant and a witness for in court for legal any transactions that end up in court, right?
You go on their behalf.
I go on behalf of whoever hires
Gotcha.
me.
Okay.
I review the documents for the case, and then I tell them, like, based off of the code of ethics, this is what can or should or should not be done. Based off of what I know about the real estate industry, this is what you can and cannot do.
Got it.
So it just depends on depends on that. So I'm a witness for cases.
So the consulting side of it, do you have to get into those other states and go through all of their NRS and all of those different legal aspects of
I
it?
do not. So I count on. So essentially, the way that those agents look at me is I am the client. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a client.
Gotcha.
I'm the client that they are communicating anything that's happening on the transaction. I ask all the right questions because I'm in the business.
Got it.
So I ask them the questions. I take that information. I give it to the client, and then the client makes the final decision.
Got it.
Tells me, and then I facilitate that out depending on what transaction we're working on. So what it does is it limits the client from having to talk to all 7, 15, 20 agents at one time.
Got it.
It's just me.
Got it. Okay. And so you recently started, right? I know you've been in coaching a while, so let's talk about your coaching side.
So funny enough, I actually started the coaching business officially in 21. But I've been doing it. And it was funny because, like, the first time somebody said, you should totally be a coach. And I'm like, I'm not good at that stuff. And they're like, you've been doing it for years. And it didn't occur to me that I did, in fact, like, I've been doing it. And it really sort of, it put me on this path to start being a CE instructor and really teaching more classes. And like now I am geared for teaching more classes. I love the aspect of going up and like watching the aha. Like yesterday when I had the conversation in the class where I was talking to them, and they're having conversations with each other about what's happening, and they're like, wait, well, what about this? And what about this? And how do we make this happen? And that to me is exciting. Like when there's conversations happening, and then all of a sudden there's this like aha moment where people are like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to make this happen. Like, I think there's some excitement around that where you see people's eyes and their brains just open up. I always tell my kids, I'm like, listen, you need to stop looking at the world like this.
Yeah.
You need to like just open this up a little bit and go here. And my son says to me, he's like, you know what your problem is, Mom? And I'm like, what? He goes, you're here. We just want you to come here.
So sometimes it might be a little bit too open.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too much. Like where you're just like, okay, well, what's happening over here? What's happening over here? What's going on over here? You want to put it all together, right? And I'm just like, just get out of this. Open it up a little bit and,
Yeah. Well, and this is totally not real estate, but our dog recently went through surgery and she has the cone on her head. And so we're playing fetch with her and she can't see the ball. So she can only see the ball if it's right here, but that is a great analogy on like
Yep.
when we take the cone off, right? She can run around and catch the ball and no issues. And, you know, in this case, she's like literally the ball is in between her legs and she's like, where the hell did it go? Where the hell did it go? That's people sometimes,
Yep.
though, right? Sometimes a little bit too much of the blinders.
Yep.
So do you coach one-on-one or do you coach in a community?
Both. So I do one-on-one and the community coaching, and I found that both are, it just depends on the client, to be honest with you. I have found that so when I started the one-on-one coaching, I actually didn't even think it was going to be something that I did until I put this agent who did 190-ish transactions a year in a group with people who were doing like 10 or 15. They're a different breed.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do a group coaching for someone who's so different from they're on a different playing field because they've been they've been in the business for 20 years. So for people like that, where they just want to, they've been doing it and they're sort of blindly getting these transactions without any real systems in place. Like that's where I jumped in. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to move you from this group coaching into a one-on-one if you're okay with that. And they were just like, well, what does that look like? And I explained it more and I said, it's going to be way more structured. And as far as like the business planning, it's going to be specific to you versus this general like planning that we do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm doing a community program, which is called the Listing Challenge, which is starting tomorrow, actually. And there's
Nice.
30 agents, and it's all levels, right? And in fact, I had some of them say, well, I don't know, they've been in the business a while. Like, I don't know that I want to be in a community with, brand new agents. And I'm like, I need you to just be open to it. But I do see that there could be an opportunity where they're so high level that it's way above what we're actually going through. But I'm hoping that they'll be able to contribute. I do see that there's some benefits with the agents who've been in the business a while to help lift. But then also agents who've been in the business a while can also gain from those that are just coming back or coming into the industry.
Yeah. Well, and I think with the NAR settlement, I think that's a big deal too. If you think about it, right? You've got an agent who's been in the business for 20 something years who's been doing it this way their entire time. And now we have a settlement. There's a brand new agent who doesn't know any other way.
Yeah.
What they bring to the table is going to be very different when it comes to working with buyers or, when they have to think outside of the box, it's different than an agent who's been in the business for 20 years having to think outside of the box, which is why it's so important that you have sometimes the group atmosphere, right? So like that agent that I took into one-on-one, she would come back and we'd have group discussions and stuff. But really, like there is definitely a benefit in doing that. So I also created these two programs. One's called Accelerator, which takes whatever you're doing and just accelerates a 12-week program. And then I have a 12-week program called a Reset. And so it essentially is you're taking your business from here to next level on the accelerator, and then you're doing a reset of everything wipe it, and let's start from scratch. And so that's the two programs that I'm focused on now.
Both
and then
run for 12 weeks?
12 weeks, yeah.
Okay.
They're both 12-week programs. And then I've got because I feel like that's just enough time to really see change. Somebody who says, I'm going to try it for 30 days, I'm not your coach. I'm just not the right coach for you because you can't see anything long-term for 30 days. It's impossible. And if you're only doing things for 30 days, let's just be real, you're probably not going to see a sustainable long-term, achievement. So they're both 12 weeks long. The other thing is that, the CE classes, I'm literally starting to look at, we talked a little bit about AI earlier.
Yeah, we'll go there next.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of CE classes, and my goal is to write a CE class at least one every quarter. So I've got 4 coming out every single year, and they're in every aspect. And funny thing is that I didn't realize until last year that I have to teach every single one of these classes on a yearly basis. So I have
keep it.
Yeah, in order to keep it, in order to not have to rewrite it, I have to
goodness.
continuously teach them every year. So now I'm going to other states. I'm going out to Texas to go teach some of these classes, and I'm getting them certified there. I got them certified in Michigan to teach out there, especially my AA class. They really wanted the AI class because not everybody really gets it. It's been fun doing the CE classes because I really enjoy that part of like writing the class, putting it through, talking to the real estate division, saying, how do I need to, what adjustment do I need to make here? And funny enough, like when I first talked about doing a CE class, I was like, oh, I'll just have someone write it for me. It's really not that hard.
Really?
So yeah, and
We'll have to do a
love
master
doing.
class on that. How to write your own CE classes. I do agree. Not agree. I know everybody says this, and I agree that you are by far the best instructor when it comes to CE classes.
Thank you.
And I've watched all of them, right? Because I get the opportunity to help sponsor some of them as well. But you definitely bring a different light, and then so many people respect you, right? And they know that you are the hammer, and you know your stuff, or SHIT as you would normally say. But let's talk a little bit about the AI, because that's the one I feel like most highly attended. That in your marketing class, every time you do those, it's always packed, always packed.
Yeah.
So talking about AI, because I feel in my own business today that with AI, it gets me like 10 steps further, faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So share with me what your thoughts are on AI, and then I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the apps that you're using.
So AI is changing every day. Mm-hmm. Every day. When we first started, for instance, ChatGPT, and it's funny because I heard about it 2 years ago, but I didn't actually embrace it for like a year because I was like, no, I'm not going to let anything replace me.
Right.
That's horse crap. Blah, blah, blah,
There's
blah.
no way it could be smarter than me. No way.
Right. So, I think, so I guess the small print, as you would call it, is AI isn't going to replace you. It just isn't. And it can't. And if it does, stop it. Because it can't. You can't have AI replace you. It will help enhance whatever it is that you're doing, and it'll make things a little bit faster, but it cannot replace you, and you shouldn't allow it to. What I've been doing, I use let's try that again. I use ChatGPT a lot. And that is for just about everything and anything. Anytime I write a letter, or, I've got letters that I write, or, property descriptions, or resumes, or whatever it may be. We utilize ChatGPT just to sort of, again, enhance. So I write what it is that I want, and then it just enhances a little bit. If you buy the $20 version on ChatGPT per month, you actually get access to a lot of other apps. My favorite so far has been the image generator, which has been kind of cool. And it's probably like one of the most basic ones. And that is you can put a property, like a picture of a property, and I do this in class, like live. So you take a property, vacant property, you stick it in there, and you ask it to do a virtual staging of that property, of that kitchen or the bathroom, or not even, or the family room, or whatever you want, a great room, either any of the bedrooms, you can have it do a virtual staging of that.
Wow.
And then it busts that out, which has been really cool.
Because there's apps for that.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
The other thing, there's actually companies that do it.
Yeah.
Right. And they charge a lot of money.
Yes.
Now you don't need that. The other thing that it does, that image generator, is that I can look at a property. I can walk in, have a conversation with a client, and they're like, God, I know I need to redo my kitchen. I just don't know where to start. And I'm like, well, what's the look that you want? I want it to be more modern. Okay, take a picture of it, stick it through the image generator, and I ask the image, how can I upgrade this property to be modern? And so it will give me like 5 or 6 things that need to be done in order to modernize that particular kitchen or bedroom or whatever. And then I can actually say, now generate the image. And it will regenerate the image of the before, like it'll take that before picture, and then it'll tell you what it's going to look like after you've done the actual renovations and improvements.
Wow.
Yeah,
and is that acceptable to put on like virtual staging MLS type stuff?
You must indicate that it's been virtually staged, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So ChatGPT, buy the $20 per month version for the image part. Is there another part of the ChatGPT that you use as well?
So right now I'm literally building it. So I just sent over I want to say maybe 25 apps to my assistant and said, hey, I really need like a 1-pager on this. And then as soon as I get that 1-pager, then I'll start putting it out one at a time on my Instagram. That's really how I'm starting to like really talk about some of these apps and stuff.
So when you get that 1-pager, make sure that you connect with her, because I'm sure you'll put it in where they can connect, and then you'll send the one
Yep,
pager of
I can send the one pager.
the
So
actual apps.
I do that. So if you go on, if you're actually on my Instagram, Realtor Vandana, you go into my bio, you go my link tree, and there's a section called freebies. When you click on the freebies, there's a ton of like free worksheets and one pagers and like quick reference guides that I have. One of them is about how to put out a ChatGPT prompt, because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make, is that we just say, hey, rewrite this, this property description and make it sound more professional or whatever. There's actually 5 things that you have to do for ChatGPT. There's 5 pieces of information that you have to provide it in order to actually get a legitimate, thing back, whatever
Right.
it is.
You can't just say, hey, create this.
Yeah, I mean you can, but it's going to be generic.
generic, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna, it's gonna have some very generic and basic words in there. So you have to tell it who you are, what you want it to do. You have to give it the information. You have to give it the restrictions that you, for instance, like with descriptions, a lot of people don't actually tell ChatGPT, like, hey, make sure that it doesn't violate any federal fair housing laws or Nevada fair housing laws. And here's what it is. ChatGPT doesn't know what that is. You have to tell it.
Right.
And so there's things like you have to make sure that you've got the restrictions as well.
Got it.
On it,
so ChatGPT is your number one AI.
Probably. My assistant, I just got her on, not got her on, but she's been using video. She's been diving into Big View. Big View is kind of a fun one for people who are scared to do video. And during my AI class, I basically started with the Wayne Gretzky quote that's, and it's, you need to go where the puck, you need to be where the puck is going, not where it's been. And I think that's where a lot of people, even with video, like people are just not doing any videos right now. And we have an agent and a broker in our office that's, refuses to do them. And I'm like, dude, you need to get on videos. Well, I'm not going to do it. That's just, my business is fine. I'm like, yeah, you do great business, but imagine if you actually did this.
That, yes.
And so everybody's doing videos. Everybody's doing a little bit of AI in their life somewhere. I'm not saying don't make it like take over, because that's not the way to go, but definitely embrace some of these things, which is my word of the year.
Yeah. Well, with Big View, what is that? The teleprompter one?
It is. It's a teleprompter one that videos you at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so you can actually, so it's got an AI in it. So you can give it a scenario. You can say, give me a script for purchasing a home right now with high interest rates and why it's important for a buyer to do this or something like that, right?
Oh.
And so it'll generate 5 different scripts for you. You get to pick which one you want, and you can edit the script. So it's already written most of it for you.
Right.
And then you can edit that script, and then you can click on record, and it'll be a teleprompter with your face on it. So you will see the picture, you'll see your video as you're reading it, and it doesn't look like you're reading because it's literally, the screen's that small.
Yeah.
It's not like it's, you're
Yeah.
you're not doing that.
Like the presidential election.
Yeah.
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 So those are your 2 favorite. Now, does Big View, because I know ChatGPT, you can kind of create people, right? You create, hey, this is a Vandana Bhalla person that anytime you plug into this Vandana Bhalla prompt, it knows who you are, so to speak.
So if you have the $20 version, I think it's like $19.99, whatever it is. But if you have the monthly subscription version of ChatGPT, you can actually create. So yes, it's got any free ChatGPT learns who you are. So your free ChatGPT and my free GPT, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Chat free. Okay, say that 5 times. It will be very different. We can put in the exact same prompt, and what your output is and what my output is going to be very different. Now, with the subscription model, there is on the very bottom, if you click on it, you can actually have your own ChatGPT that you create with your own, like you've already given it your own information. You're like, this is who I am. This is my business. Don't ever do this again. Don't ever do that again. Like, I hate when it uses the word, delve. And I'm like, I don't say delve. Like, it's not my word. Remove it.
Yeah.
Right. And so remove that from your vocabulary. Right. It is not going to be in Chat GP Vandana. It's just not going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not in Big View. It's solely in ChatGPT.
it's only in ChatGPT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can put multiple characters, so to speak, I think in there, right? So you have a coaching client, specific verbiage for your coaching clients, and maybe specific verbiage for your business clients, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And I always tell people that when you have ChatGPT, you have to like literally tell it who you are. So you just say, hey, I'm going to have you do a couple of marketing things for me over the next year. And I want you to ask me 20 questions about my business. That's going to give you enough information so that you can output this marketing for me. And so.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, and we're almost out of time. You do so much. I know ChatGPT knows all this about you. Now we know all this about you. We didn't even talk about property management. We didn't talk about EO and leadership and all that good stuff. And knowing all this, like I can hear all that you do. The one question I would have, and I'm hoping the viewers hear this as well, is, or have the same question, what do you do? You talk about pajama day, but what do you do to like just relax? And
so we will talk about property management really quickly because it sort of comes about from this. So I am part of a group, and we go on, these mini retreats every year. The last mini retreat that I was on was in Panama City, Panama, and we were at Pearl Islands. We were literally sitting on the beach, on the islands, and I'm looking at this beautiful ocean, right? And I'm just like, God, I want to be doing this more often. Like, what do I need to do so that I don't have to be present like all the time? And ultimately, like we're so blessed at the company that I'm at, that there is so many things that we have already set up, and property management is one of them. So my property management division, we've got an entire team that's built out that handles so much stuff. And so I decided right then and there, like as I'm sure you do, pulled out my journal because I carry it with me everywhere. I pulled out my journal and I started writing, like, what are the things that I need to do to like really make this a thing, and that, where I can work from anywhere in the world. And property management was one of those, and my coaching business was another, because I can Zoom anywhere.
yeah.
And real talk, like I can teach classes in any part of the world, and with the courses that I've written, or the 12-week, I can make those into small, like I'm doing a 2-day event in Texas, and that 2-day event is literally going to be business planning. It's going to be my entire accelerator program, but like a quick snapshot of it.
Consolidated.
Yeah. And so like, how do I do this where I can, I can travel more? Cause that's really that is my passion right now, is just traveling. So if I can get on a plane and go anywhere, that's my jam.
Love it.
That's what
lights you up.
Lights me up. It gets me excited. It also helps calm me down. I love traveling. I just went out of country with my boys. We were gone for 3.5 weeks, and they are incredible travel partners.
Love it.
So we had a great time doing that. And I think that's really the goal, is to go look at other cultures, be out, and that helps me. I mean, I get massages. I get 2-hour massages at least once a month. I go get a facial once a month. I go, I do the things. I also work out like a crazy person. So I go in the morning, generally about 4:30 in the morning. I'll go do cardio, and then I'll come back at 5:30 in the evening to go do some CrossFit. So I've been that helps ground me and helps relax me a little bit too.
When I was thinking you were going to say also that you are like a crazy woman with your calendar. I mean, you are maniacal about your calendar.
I am.
Yeah. And that is something I've learned actually from you, is the color coding and the, prioritizing of that. But I do think, not necessarily coming from the program that you and I went through with ShieldMate, and I do think managing and mastering your calendar for you specifically, I know that's a big thing.
Well, I'm involved in a lot. I've got a lot going on. And I just recently finished leading Leadership Las Vegas, which was a program through the Vegas Chamber. And I just finished, after 10 years I went through the program in class of 2017. And now I am, I led it last year, and now I'm done. And it's weird. Like, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, what am I going to do now?
What am I do with my life?
What's next? Right? And so it's like, so now I'm trying to fill my calendar with some other stuff to do, because I don't know this. Like, I don't know this weird, I've been literally part of the program for 10 years, and I've been, going to meetings and committees and session days and, planning it and so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, now what do I do? But what I found is my calendar has, because I'm so involved in so many things, everything has different colors in it. And the priorities are in red. That's the non-negotiables. Those do not move. Those are time with my kids. That's, the cooking class I was telling you about that I'm going to with my kids tonight. That is hanging out with my friends. And I really make time for my friends. Like, I absolutely love engaging. I have a friend of mine that says, every time we go anywhere, you talk to everybody. I mean, one of my closest friends right now, I was sitting at a bar like 2 months ago and I'm like, excuse me, like literally, I was like, excuse me, can I ask you a question? And like, we just started talking and he became one of my closest friends. Like, it's
That's awesome.
kind of what I do. Like,
Well, I remember we went to we were at a bar and, in downtown, and there's 2 picnic tables where we all get to sit out there. So the group of us that came with her, we sat down and she's like, all right, guys, I've got my next group right at the next table. See you guys. And we're like, oh, okay, that's how you.
But I didn't double book because we were supposed to be there from 4:30 to 6:30, and my next group showed up at 6:30 to
2 red
8:30.
blocks back to back. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But no, I do know, and I'm grateful that I'm in that friend group with you as well. But I would say your calendar, you are definitely a huge, like you live by your calendar.
I do.
Which is awesome.
And I teach other people how to do it too.
Yeah.
And it like freaks some people out when they see my calendar. I'm like, but I know, like, I get it, and I can look at my calendar and the best part about it, I can look at my calendar on a weekly basis and I'll be like, ooh, too much yellow. Like, I'm going to have to change that for next week.
That's awesome.
And that's the best part about color coordinating is I can literally look at it and say, there's too much of this color going on this week. I need to shift this for next week. Because if there's not enough going on in the green for money, then I've got to shift that for the following week. Because I can have fun and do all the things in red and orange and, purple. But if there's no green,
the red,
all the other stuff, right? Exactly.
The week after.
So it's a balance.
It is definitely a balance.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I know I got to bring you back for just other things that I had on the list to talk about. But how do people connect with you? What's the best way?
So the best way is really just get on my Instagram. Realtor Vandana. Yeah. Go on Realtor Vandana. Go ahead and follow me there. You can also, find Realtor Vandana is really anywhere you can find me. So Realtor Vandana on Facebook, on Instagram, on realtorvandana.com for my website, realtorvandana.tv for my YouTube. Like, you can pretty much find me. Just put in Realtor Vandana.
The coaching side of it also is there?
That's the Bhalla. That's the Bhalla coaching and consulting.com. So, but I do on Realtor Vandana, I do a lot of the coaching and consulting stuff on there as well.
It's in your Instagram link as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on the episode. And I mean, so much to learn from this episode, right? ChatGPT, all things AI. I learned about the Advocate open house, and I'm going to be asking all of my agents now, like, hey, are you on this? Do you get this subscription? Will you open it up and send it to me to know that you actually read it? Obviously, all of the great things that you do in our industry. I'm grateful to have you as my friend, also as my partner. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm grateful for you.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thank you so much for joining this podcast. Make sure that you like, subscribe, click the notification button so that you can get the next episode that's coming up. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.